This story is called Black and White on Mirror Image Island. I was inspired to write this story during the 2020 racial struggle to reawaken the reality of humanity. If we phase out pride, prejudice, and greed, black or white, we have the ability of complementing each other to live the happy life that was meant for all of us as human beings. We are the people of this world.
Once upon a time, there was an island called Mirror Image. There were no people on that island, but many animals, birds, insects, reptiles, trees, plants, flowers, and different types of fish in the surrounding waters. One day, that changed. A ship hit a rock, broke apart, and sank near Mirror Image Island. Everybody on board drowned, except two men. One was black, called Yuma. The other was white, called Nitis. Before the wreck, Yuma and Nitis did not know each other. They were in different places on the ship. Yuma was on the lower level, working as a chef, and Nitis was on the upper level, known as the first class, relaxing and enjoying the ocean. When Yuma and Nitis swam for dear life to Mirror Image Island, they only had the clothes they were wearing. They had had no time to get their belongings from the ship before it sank. Even though the two men had nothing, still Yuma felt he was lower than Nitis in status because of the color of his skin and the poverty he had lived most of his life. Nitis felt he was superior to Yuma because of the color of his skin and the wealth of his family. Nitis always sat in first class on ships and airplanes. He never talked to the people in the lower class. But what Yuma and Nitis had now was each other. They either had to work together and come up with some ideas of how to survive, or they would both die. All the animals on the island were watching the two men, and scared of them too, for they had never seen such creatures. The monkeys, baboons, gorillas, and chimpanzees were amused the most because the two creatures looked more like them. To Yuma and Nitis' surprise, everything on the island reflected another because the entire island was a mirror. Trees, leaves, flowers, sand, and even the sky. When they looked at them, they saw their images in them. When Yuma looked at the big tree in front of him, as he sat down to process what had just happened, he saw his image. But to his surprise, his skin looked like Nitis' skin. It was white. He got scared and looked away. "Whoa!" he said. When Nitis looked at a big hibiscus flower in front of him, he saw his image. But to his surprise, his skin was as black as Yuma's. "No, no, no, what did I see?" he screamed. He ran back to the ocean to scrub himself. He thought maybe the wrecking of the ship and the spilling of the oil had something to do with it. When Yuma saw Nitis returning to the ocean, he followed him. He thought Nitis had given up on life and was going to throw himself into the water and die. He wanted to stop him, for he was the only human he had. He knew his survival would depend on Nitis. He had to make him change his mind. When Yuma and Nitis looked in the water, they saw each other's image as a reflection of their own. "No, no, what is this?" they both screamed. "What is going on here?" Yuma asked. "I cannot stay on this island. Everywhere I look, I see your image. My skin is black," Nitis said. "Everywhere I look, I see your image too. My skin is white," Yuma said. Something is wrong on this island and we need to get out of here, they both said. What's wrong with them? Chimpanzee asked. They do not like each other. That is the problem, a gorilla said. How will they survive? A baboon asked. I do not know. We shall see, a monkey said. As soon as Yuma and Nitis jumped into the water to swim away, each other's image came into their faces. They could not even see the way to escape. So they swam back to Mirror Image Island. What happened? Yuma asked. You were in my face. Can you leave me alone? Nitis said. You were in my face too. Can you leave me alone? Yuma said. All the animals on the island started laughing at Yuma and Nitis. The more they laughed, the more Yuma and Nitis saw each other's reflection in their faces. At that point, both men were very hungry, thirsty, and exhausted. Since the shipwreck, they had been angry with each other's image in their faces instead of thinking about how to survive on the island and finding food. Yuma raised his voice and he asked the animals, "How do you survive here?" We survive with deliberate cooperation and loving each other. We share the forests, bushes, waters, and all the food in them. We live in our families, but we feel as one on this island. When everything we look at turns into a mirror, we see each other and respect each other, Mama Gorilla said. It is getting late. We must make a fire just in case rescuers come by. I know how to make a fire. You go and look for firewood, said Yuma. Firewood? I do not know what you're talking about. I only know how to use electric stoves, Nitis said. Well, do you see any electric stove here? Yuma asked. Realizing it might take long to explain to Nitis about firewood, plus the sun was setting, Yuma decided to go in the forest and collect some firewood himself in order to make the fire. Nitis followed him because he feared staying alone with the animals. They both collected enough firewood to burn throughout the night. We have the firewood and you're going to make fire, but we do not have anything to eat. I know how to dive under the ocean and catch fish, Nitis said. Without a boat and a net, how do you catch fish? Yuma asked. Yuma had never swum under an ocean. He was scared to death. Follow me. You will remain on shore and watch, Nitis said. It was very cold, but with Yuma cheering him on, Nitis dove into the ocean and caught a big fish. All the animals were so happy for the two creatures, they clapped their hands. Yuma made the fire to prepare the fish, while Nitis built a shelter with the palms the animals on the island had collected for them. By the time he finished building the shelter, the fish was ready, and they both sat down to eat. What do you think? Yuma asked. It tastes so good. Thank you for preparing it, Nitis said. Thank you for catching it, Yuma said. So, tell me about yourself, Nitis said. I was born in Dulu, among people who loved and respected each other so much. Our life was community. Everyone mattered, and we were happy. But when people from a faraway country invaded our land, they forced us to disperse. I lost all my brothers and sisters. I ended up in Binojo, land of the rich who are lonely. I have a wife and 3 children. I worked all kinds of jobs to support my family, but still I could not raise enough money to pay the bills. That is why I applied for a job on a ship, hoping to make enough money to support my family. How about you? Yuma said. Nitty responded, "First, I'm so sorry for what happened to you and your family. But to tell you the truth, my life has been good. I was born in a rich family. We have never lacked for anything. I inherited my father's company when he died. We travel first class. We have many houses around the country for vacations. We have many cars, boats, clothes, computers, TV sets, you name it. But this shipwreck has taught me many lessons. Right now, we are the same, Yuma." It just clicked in my head. I know why we see each other's image on this mirror image island. Watch this. Yuma wrote his name in the sand and completed it with Nitty's name. He spelt it Humanity, humanity. The ship went down, and the two of us, black and white, survived to tell this story to everyone on Earth, Yuma said. "Oh, that is right. That is why we see images of each other in everything. Why couldn't we figure this out before?" Nitty said. "Because we were blinded and preoccupied with pride and prejudice," Yuma said. The next day, Yuma and Nitty made a big fire so the boat looking for survivors could find them. They were lucky. At the end of the day, the rescuers' boat found them. They were healthy and well rested because they had worked together to survive and to encourage each other to stay positive. When they got home, they narrated the story of the miracle on Mirror Image Island, where they discovered they were images of each other to their families. From that day forward, Yuma said Nitty was his brother, and Nitty said Yuma was his brother too. They remained in touch and helped each other in many ways. Eventually, they spearheaded the humanity movement to make people aware they were mirror images of each other, and living in harmony was the best way to live.